So ZywOo just dropped a 1.66 rating in the grand final. Actually, his best tournament ever, if I'm not mistaken. And Vitality is just one trophy away from the back-to-back Grand Slams. It pains my heart to see FURIA not winning, to be honest, because it would have been the perfect story. But they did probably the comeback of the year. I mean, we are in February still, but one of the best comebacks I've seen in a while, and still lost 3-1. And also looking forward, 7 of the top 10 teams just declined IEM Atlanta to go for PGL Astana, which is a biggie.
We'll get more into that, but like on the face of it, it sounds ridiculous, and then you look at it and you're like, I get it, but it still doesn't feel right for me. Yeah, like IEM Atlanta just sounds like a much bigger event. Like it's an IEM for a start. Like IEMs to me always matter more, especially when you talk about the Grand Slam in the intro, and it's like, yeah, that counts towards a Grand Slam, guys. Like somebody's got to stop Vitality. I mean, by then they'll probably have it anyway, but like somebody's got to try and stop them. It can't just be Foot and MIBR. We got no chance.
It's an NA event. I think that's context that maybe you've always got to shade in, like in terms of getting visas, in terms of wanting to go to those events. Like most pros are pretty down on traveling to NA. If they can help it, they would rather not go out of their way to move away from Europe, especially most of these European teams. So I don't know, I guess it's just not that attractive an event for them.
Yeah, unlike Astana, which is, you know, a holiday destination.
Yeah, but you know, if it's a 4-hour plane journey instead of across the Atlantic, like, I don't know, that is a lot easier for some of them.
I guess. I mean, for me, I guess I don't necessarily have that issue with visa. I mean, I would much more happily fly to Atlanta than Astana, but you know, I'm not a professional video game player, unfortunately.
Okay, so the final went 3-1. To be honest, after Mirage, I had this mirage, if you want to, of seeing FURIA lifting the trophy. It would have been such the perfect story. But I mean, Inferno, Nuke, and Overpass. Nuke specifically was just like,
yeah, it was
a landslide,
complete non-event.
And yeah, and on Inferno, ZywOo got like a 2.22 rating also. So like, they did play just much better than FURIA, and it was like very much deserved.
So I've always had this theory that the team who chokes is the better team. Like, so like if it's a 3-map series and the team chokes in the first map, like if you think it's like quite a relatively even game, I'm not talking about like, you know, Heroic going up against Vitality. Heroic go like 11-6 up and lose. Like, yeah, it was because you were just lucky to be there in the first place. But like when teams are relatively evenly matched and one team goes up that high and then chokes, you're like, there's a reason they were winning by that much. Like they've lost their composure a little bit and they've let the game slip, but generally they're the better team. It's not always true, and you know, but that's just the way I see it. It's like they were probably the better team on Mirage, and then they just sort of lost their bottle a little bit. So when FURIA won it, I was like, this was a best of 3. I'd be a bit more excited about FURIA's chances, but I feel like Vitality, what I saw on Mirage, how dominant they were in that first half of the map, I was like, I'm pretty confident they'll have enough time to shake off the yips and just deal with this. Like, this looked like the Vitality of a year ago rather than the Vitality of a few months ago where they were losing these games for FURIA. This is... when Vitality are good, they look genuinely unbeatable. And they looked completely and utterly unbeatable in this event.
I think for me, there's
also...
go on, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that ZywOo was on fucking steroids. Like, he did amazing in the finals. Yeah, but go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no, that's almost exactly the point I was going to make. You had, if you think about like who you consider the stars on both teams, right? You've essentially got 2 duos. You've got Molodoy and KSCERATO on FURIA. You've got ZywOo and Rops on on Vitality. And what we actually saw from both teams is that their AWPers were doing quite well, and that Star Rifler was kind of absent on both teams, right? Like, we didn't see much from ROPS this final, and we especially didn't see much from KSCERATO. And that latter one is the bigger point to me, because this is one of those series where I'm looking at, you know, the 13-10 on Overpass. I'm looking at the 13-8 on Inferno, and these are actually maybe a lot closer than the scoreline suggests. And I think the biggest difference maker for me was just the total absence of KSCERATO, and whether or not you want to say that that's because ZywOo especially was doing an excellent job of shutting him down in particular, and it's something to do with Vitality's calling being good, or whether you want to say that, you know, maybe KSCERATO is actually a bit of a choker in these big moments, because this isn't the first time he's ghosted a grand final. And I think there is definitely something to look at there. Like, I don't know why, but KSCERATO is normally one of these rocks that you can rely on all throughout the group stages. And historically, we've never seen FURIA get to that many grand finals, so we've never really seen this choke factor from KSCERATO. But especially now, when I'm watching him reach these late playoff games, he does just disappear in a way that I think FURIA can't avoid if they want to win these trophies again.
Yeah, especially against a Vitality in this form, you need KSCERATO, because he is your X Factor rifler. Like, you have Yuri and Yekindar, who are good players, absolutely, but Yekindar in a best of 5 grand final will likely have one crazy map, and the rest he's going to be, you know, he's going to be that baseline level. You need KSCERATO to be getting 70 frags in a best of 5. Like that should be your minimum expectation, really. Like, he should be getting 65, 70 frags, because you're not going to win unless KSCERATO does that. Because you simply, against a great team, you don't have a firepower advantage. You need KSCERATO to be as good as his opposite number, if not better. Especially as you say, like, molodoy play his fucking little art out, and he ain't going to be better than ZywOo dropping 90 in 84 rounds. Like, it doesn't
he was
matter.
There in that Mirage. Molodoy was fully there in that Mirage, but you could see like a distinct drop-off in molodoy as it got later into that series. But that's expected, because molodoy is a rookie. You know, he was Rookie of the Year last year or whatever, and like, he's going to play like a rookie. He's going to have these big upsets and like moments where he's just not going to be able to find his footing. So this is really when you need KSCERATO to be that rock that he's been for FURIA for so long. And yeah, like I said, it's just so hard to avoid the conclusion that they probably would have won this final if KSCERATO showed up.
I think as well.
I do gotta say though that we do gotta mention that FURIA did like visually evolve during this tournament, because they lost like foot in the first phase, right? And they battled out through the whole lower brackets to get to the finals, and which is I mean, pretty good and like and salvageable that they did get all the way to the finals. And Mirage specifically was one map that FURIA was struggling a lot in the past few matches. If we see, we lost to Foot, we lost to PARIVISION, and I'm saying we because I'm Brazilian, okay? Again, not because I'm part of FURIA, but I think we lost to PARIVISION too. So like by the end of the tournament, we were picking Mirage. So that's a pretty like salvageable and good thing to happen during one tournament, which is I think pretty great from the team and especially from Sidde and Fallen, which are, you know, the colors of the team. Also, there was some positional changes. KSCERATO and Yekindar changed a lot of positions, especially in Mirage. So that might have helped their overall performance in the map. And of course, you got to talk about like how well molodoy was playing in that Mirage. Like, it was just amazing. I had glimpses of Kenny S playing again. Like, it was just back to 2017 opping, and it was just very nice to see. That one round in Mirage where he kills... Yes, precisely. Where he kills like, I think 3 or 4 people.
Yeah. And
he kills Donk while flying. It's just amazing. It's very good to see.
So like,
no, not Donk. I'm sorry. Well, anyway,
what you say about molodoy and what Sam sort of alleviated is his style as well is going to make it, like, he will have those maps where he's completely in the zone, but because he's so aggressive, like even on Mirage, there were multiple points where I saw him like re-peek and ZywOo just holding the angle because he knows molodoy is going to re-peek. Molodoy is so aggressive and he will make those errors. And I think against a team like Vitality, he's going to get punished like for at least 2 or 3 of those maps, as you say, which is why you need KSCERATO, whose style is supposed to be so much more stable, and it generally is so much more stable. There's no reason for him to be completely absent in the way he plays. The way he plays should be sort of protected from that almost, whereas molodoy should be more up and down, and that's kind of fine. But I will say FURIA do give molodoy like everything. They really play around him in a way that is completely off meta. Like nobody else, no team I can think of plays around an AWP quite like FURIA do. Nobody like ZywOo rifles like 45% of the time or something. molodoy has an AWP anytime they can afford it, and they set him up. They let him do whatever he wants. And I think to some extent, when he's not completely on it, it is going to have an impact on the rest of the team. So I will give KSCERATO a little bit of leeway for that, where if molodoy's not playing well, FURIA are not going to play well to some extent. But he should have been better than he was.
I think it's pretty obvious. There's a massive Simple shaped hole in tier 1 AWPing that Simple himself hasn't filled yet, and maybe won't, depending on how you feel about his comeuppance. And molodoy is definitely the closest thing we've got to an answer to that. molodoy is that aggressive, flashy AWPer that maybe repeats a bit more than he should, that all the team's resources are pulled into him, and it's kind of up to him whether or not the team, sinks or swims.
Yeah.
And KSCERATO is essentially like his life raft for when he's having harder times, which, just wasn't here, right? And I think it's really interesting to contrast molodoy with ZywOo, because ZywOo is such a versatile player. And I'm actually going to be quite positive about ZywOo, because in this grand final, he showed me something that I haven't really seen before. In this grand final, I saw a ZywOo that was way more proactive, way more flashy, going for like way more aggressive multi-kill opportunities, instead of just his usual like get 1 kill, fall back, play supportive, let your teammates play the round, pick your timing, then repeak. Instead, he was like, on overpass, he was like throwing himself out bathrooms and getting 3Ks. You don't normally see that from ZywOo. You don't see these levels of risks from him. But clearly he can do it. It's not that he doesn't want to. It's just that he doesn't need to, maybe half the time, right? Because he's got maniacs on his team like Apex and Flames that they're going to be taking those aggressive opportunities for him. So he gets to just play the numbers.
Apex kind
Mezzy
of like,
even, yeah.
Apex is kind of like low-key a beta nowadays. Mezzy and Flames.
I don't watch any Apex demo on T-side Nuke. He's still a maniac. He's still got that dog in him.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever I watch him, he's throwing grenades.
He is IGL as well. Yeah, you've got to do that.
Yeah. But like Snappy doesn't. I think what you said is true. Like I remember there was like an Apex like thing that got leaked before of him talking to ZywOo, and he's like shouting out like, "You're so good. Like, don't take these jewels. Like, don't take these jewels. Like, stand behind me. I'll take the jewels." But at some point in a grand final, like we've seen ZywOo kind of bottle grand finals and bottle big games before. Like I sort of have always pushed the narrative a little bit, because partly because I think it's nice for everyone to have a flaw, and partly because I do think it's slightly true. But if he played that game like he knew he was the best player in the server, and like he thought he was the best player in the world, and if he plays like that more often, he is the best player in the world. Like that. I mean,
This is an insanely obscure reference that maybe like 2 viewers will get. But we have an in-joke in our circles that ZywOo is sort of like Regigigas, the Pokemon, in that he takes a bit of time to warm up. And it's always the case. You look at like the first 5 rounds of a Vitality playoff game, and ZywOo will sometimes just be sat on like 0, maybe 1 kill, if you know what I mean. He takes a bit of time to get warmed up into the game. And you talk about him, sometimes bottling a grand final. I think what I've seen isn't so much bottling, but more just he will have the odd map where he just fails to warm up. And I think, Vitality just brought a Pokemon with neutralizing gas to the field for this grand final. He was straight off to the races, straight away, dominated everyone, and he's just unstoppable when he's in that kind of form.
you were talking about the team playing for Moldoy, and the only team that I can remember playing that way was like MUTiRIS, fresh out of Russia, playing for G2. Like when he just got into G2 and he was playing like that aggressive AWP. That is like I get flashbacks from that, you know, that specific round in Inferno, I think, versus MOUZ, where he just kills everyone.
Yeah.
And
I think
I can see Molodoy. Molodoy can be one, if not the best player, one of the best players in the world. Not right now, I know. I wouldn't say right now because he's still a rookie, right? He's in his second year of professional play. But give the guy maybe 1 year, 2 years, and he can be like up there and battling for the #1 position if he keeps it up. He's just so good.
this might be an insane thing to say. I think he's more likely to become better than ZywOo than MUTiRIS is. Like, and I love MUTiRIS, but he has. I don't think he's actually improved from where he was like a year ago. He's sort of stagnated a little bit, and there probably is room for him to get better. And like, it's really hard to deny how good MUTiRIS is, but he's also on a team that isn't really utilizing him in the way. Like, molodoy is going to get so many resources. He's going to get so much experience at every single duel he wants to take, and he's going to learn so quickly what he can and can't get away with. We've already seen, like, in his rookie year, he was number 5 in HLTV? Like,
6.
Number 6. I mean, that's his rookie year. And I don't think he's shown any signs of slowing down. And he actually will get the resources that maybe MUTiRIS should have had, but hasn't, because he's been on super teams, essentially. He's always had another superstar. I think if you swapped MUTiRIS and molodoy, you'd see it would probably be the opposite. But I think if anyone is going to knock ZywOo off the best AWPer in the world, it's molodoy. Or it's donk when he gets upset and he just decides he's going to start AWPing. But I think molodoy is more likely to become the best AWPer in the world than Shiro or MUTiRIS. But he isn't better than them necessarily yet. Although I'd have him over Shiro personally.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, I think that it pains me a lot because I really like Ilya, and not only his like play style, but his like personality outside of the server. I think he's one of the best like content people for Counter-Strike at the moment, and I think it brings a lot to the scene, like having someone like him who just like knows how to speak in front of a camera and is engaging and stuff. But I mean, it saddens me a little bit to see how little resources he actually get. Like, I was looking at some statistics the other day, and I don't know how like present are these statistics. It might be a little like a few weeks or months back, but he was getting like 38% of the rounds the AWP, right? And that's just like so little. And for his talent, as you said, like if he got a team that's actually playing for him and just giving him the resources and giving him opportunities to show his abilities and show himself, I think MUTiRIS, I mean, for a reason, he's getting like top 3 for the last God knows how many years. I think 2 or 3 years, or top 5 in the last 2 or 3 years. So it just pains me a little bit to see how not great they're doing, because we know Falcons is the best paying team in the world, right? They have the highest salaries, and still they cannot win anything. Like, what the fuck is going on? At some point, you gotta lift the trophy.
There's a bit of nuance there, maybe to add, in terms of, like, we're talking about two things. We're talking about as a player in the role of AWPer, and just a player at killing people using the AWP, right? And maybe that nuance gets lost here, but it is an important distinction to make, because if we talk about who can just have the gun in their hands and kill more people with it, then yeah, I would probably agree with you. Like maybe molodoy is more set up for that, so he's going to do that more. But if you think about everything else entailed by an AWP, like m0NESY is just so much more well-rounded to me. You look at, like, you know, the util he comes up with, how supportive he is, how, like, the kinds of flashes that he's throwing for his team. He's having to set up 2 other stars, whereas molodoy doesn't have anything to do other than pick up the AWP and go make a kill. You know, like, that's his entire thought process in the round, so...
Yeah, I do think m0NESY is a better player than molodoy. I just don't think he's ever going to be better than ZywOo at that role, because he is doing what ZywOo does, and ZywOo is just slightly better at it. Whereas molodoy at least offers something different, and he's the only player in the world who is playing like he does and doing it well. So he's the only way somebody is better than ZywOo is by doing something completely different, and that's what molodoy is doing.
Yeah, I think molodoy's ceiling is, like, skill ceiling is higher. He can get to a point where he's just better than everyone else. It's not right now, and it's not, I think, in the, like, close future, but I can see that happening in, as I said, like in maybe 1.5, 2 years. He can very well be one of the, like, top 3 best players in the world, no questions asked.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, any AWPer or like up and coming player should watch molodoy. Because
they absolutely shouldn't.
Is...
They absolutely should not watch molodoy, because you can't do that.
No,
you can't play like molodoy. It's like how you shouldn't watch Simple, because you can't do what Simple does. So don't even try. Molodoy, as Sam alluded to, like, he is the new Simple in that sense, in that he just plays like he's the best player in the server every single time. And if you actually try and copy molodoy, you will crash, but you'll be ultimate. That's what you'll be. Ultimate's like a bad molodoy.
Well, talking about Simple, Sam, you had some stuff to talk about him?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot to say about BC.Game, right? Because, you know, it's really interesting, but I've been hearing cricket since BC.Game hit stage 2, and, you know, all of a sudden the goalposts moved to, like, oh, but Simple didn't carry that hard, and... Oh, yeah, but they lost to FaZe though, and like, oh, but they lost to 3D Max. Like, I'm just hearing so much cope from everyone that told me BC.Game were going to get 13-0'd twice and then not even make stage 2, you know. So yeah, I'm reveling in that. Everyone that's decided to DM me or like ping me on Discord to tell me, you know, all of your cope, like keep sending it. It brings me joy. But yeah, no, I do have some actual substance to talk about, because I think BC.Game at this event provided like a really interesting A/B test for us that we don't normally get access to in most tournaments, because they played, I believe it was Bucharest in October. They played against 3D Max, NIP, and who was the other team they played against? I've forgotten now off the top of my head, but they essentially played the exact same 3 teams in Krakow Stage 1 and PGL Bucharest. And the only 2 changes between the teams were obviously Simple and Electronic being added. So you can compare side by side how much better is BC.Game than Saw was at an event that was, you know, only a couple of months ago. And Simple is like considerably better already than Story was against the same team, same environment, basically same map pool, same everything, right? Electronic is about as good as the Agile guy was. And so you can kind of quite comfortably say this was like a strict upgrade.
Yeah.
Look, not to say that Electronic's good, not to say that BC.Game are world beaters, but this is just a strict upgrade.
I will concede, I didn't think they'd get to stage 2, and maybe part of the reason there was crickets is because I just got DDoSed by you while you were talking and disconnected for a second. I will concede that, but you also did say you think the team would be good, which is why I was particularly upset, because they're not, by pretty much any metric, good. And then you were like, oh yeah, if they change like 3 players, that'd be good. It's like, yeah, any team would be good if you change 3 of their players.
I never said if they changed 3 players. I said, you know, throughout the course of this year, you have like, pick whoever the worst performing player is. Like for me, it's Aragorn. I think Aragorn looked desperately poor in some of these matches. Say you change him for like a better anchor player and get like a slight upgrade there. Like, I don't know who becomes available, but BC.Game have monies. Probably not Perfecto. Like Perfecto's probably
not that one.
I knew that would wind you up.
It's inevitable, isn't it? But no, let's not say perfecto. Let's say instead you get like a Yimfa or maybe something slightly below that. I don't know what's plausible for BC.Game. No, I don't think so. But look, like one change like that, and they're probably beating FaZe in that series. Like Brokey had one of the most bizarre, like Twilight Zone-esque performances against BC.Game in particular. Like I think he summoned all of his latent skill out of spite or something just to upset Simple in that FaZe series. It's the only explanation I have. And if he didn't do that, BC.Game just would have beaten them. Like they just looked better in a lot of those rounds.
I mean, everyone looks better than FaZe in group stages, man. They nearly lost to fucking Red Canids. Red Canids aren't even good in Brazil. Like FaZe are just like, you learn nothing by playing against FaZe. I do think that, like, win or lose, I don't care if you win or lose against FaZe. Like you say, you got shat on by Brokey. That just happens sometimes. Like that, you learn nothing by playing in this game. It just doesn't mean anything. Getting to stage 2 was better than I thought they would get, but you still like, it is still Simple carrying like minimum 3 lifeless corpses over the line. I don't mind MUTiRiS, but the other 3 are fucking rubbish.
Can I mention something though? It's just like I cannot understand what's going on in this team. Like I cannot understand BC.Game. Because, like, I don't know if you guys saw, it was viral on Twitter or X for some time. The clip that I think it is MUTiRiS who gets the AWP in Dust 2, and he just like kills 2 people and wins the round, and Simple goes, oh, fuck this guy. And of course, like, what the fuck is going on? He's winning. He's on your team. How can you be like that? Like the climate on that team must be like so utterly shit that I can't see them going anywhere.
Simple just loves to he just loves to hurt himself. He just loves to be on these like teams where he's the big fish in the small pond and he gets to show off. I think he secretly just loves he loves playing with worse players so he can show off. We all know a guy like that.
But like,
I don't know if it is.
You know, you end up griefing your own team because like what if I'm MUTiRiS and I get back home and I'm already bummed because I was eliminated from the tournament, and then I see my own teammate rolling his eyes because I got a kill and I won the round. Like I just won't show up to training anymore because why would I? Fuck this guy.
True. But the thing that everybody seems to lose this context, right? There is such a massive cultural difference between the way that European teams speak to each other and communicate and the kind of environments that they come from and the CIS equivalent, right? Because you know, us Westerners, we are protected from like half of the toxicity of the CIS team by the language barrier. If you could hear what like Dastan is saying to some of his players, if you could speak Russian and understand like the advice that they're being given, you would say the same about them. Like pick any team that has majority CIS players, and if you were to like translate what they're saying literally into English devoid of context, you would think they're like the most toxic players to ever touch the earth. It's just a cultural thing, and Simple comes from that background. The only reason that it's like so evident with Simple is that obviously, you know, he is maybe a little bit more toxic again, right? Like I'm not going to deny that. But then also he's having to speak in English and he's so forward facing and such like a public icon that all cameras are on him. So when he's doing that, you're seeing it. But obviously it doesn't matter if you're like just the 20th best Russian team in the world. Like nobody's translating, you know, what each player is saying on like round 3 after losing pistol. You know what I mean?
Yeah, have you ever watched a Deco stream? That guy is... that guy is insanely toxic, and it's like it is just quite like as I said, like it's just normal. Like there's also just like words in Russian that when literally translated come across really badly in English, but just don't mean the same over there. Like their version of like the homophobic slur is just like it's just a lot less devastating in Russian for whatever reason, and so they just sort of throw it around. Or they previously would just throw it around, and you had like people trying to like punish. I think Simple got caught saying it once, and it's like, but they don't. our standards and theirs are just different, and it's like it seems weird to punish them for speaking Russian.
The closest thing that we have, if you're from, you know, the UK or like Denmark or somewhere that's English is mostly fluent in your country, the closest equivalent we have is the way that Australians use the C word. I'm not going to say it for monetization reasons or whatever, but if you grew up in the UK and you said that word around your parents, like you're not in for a good time. But they use it over there to just mean like, all right, mate, or something. Yeah. And that is kind of like the level of paradigm that you're operating with when you're trying to understand what these CIS teams are saying to each other through like a Western lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one video of, I think it was Hallie speaking to one of the players. I think it was, I don't know, Tanier or something. And like the way he was explaining the concept, it was just about like one flash that Tanier wasn't like getting right. And he was like just blaming him like in a way that if it was a Western team, it would be like cutting ties right here, right? Yeah.
You say that to Stewie 2K, you're front page of Reddit for like the next 3 months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, context matters, right? But at the same time, like, and this is just my opinion, and from, you know, my background when I used to play, of course I didn't play CS, but when I used to play, like if we are getting things, and like air quotes matter here, right? If you're getting things right, you should not be flaming your own teammates. Like wait until you get something wrong at least, right? And I don't know, like I cannot see this team going like for, I think it would be just like people say, like 10 games until we can change one more, and then 10 again until we can change the other two, and that's it.
Just remember, a wise man once said, toxicity doesn't lose games, bad teammates do. And I think this is basically BC.Game's motto at this point. And I will say,
was that wise man? Because I've said the same thing, and I don't know if you're quoting somebody else, or
it might be you. You might have stolen it from someone. It's in my brain.
I might have actually stolen it.
I know that I like that quote because not because I believe it. I just find it really funny. But in the case of BC.Game, like it kind of is true though, because you're looking at some of the situations that BC.Game are like putting Simple into. And I'll give you an example. There was a round on Overpass where Simple pushed short with an AWP, and he managed to pick off one player, and then I think he like whiffed a second shot, and MUTiRiS has stood right behind him. And whenever you're that player that's like pushing into an angle with an AWPer, your goal is to have your rifle out ready to cover, so that if he misses, you can kill the guy that swings to try and capitalize on it, right? And MUTiRiS has stood behind him instead with like a molly, like doing literally nothing, and Simple just says like, put the nades away or whatever. Like he's so mad, and you can see in that moment it's like yeah, his reaction is maybe a bit too intense, maybe a bit too extreme, but he's also right. And that's what matters more, I think. Like, if your teammates are actively trolling and leaving you in situations where you're hung out to dry for no reason, you can say he should be nicer about it, but you can also say maybe his teammates shouldn't be doing that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because I've had this argument before, somebody's like, being toxic is worse than being bad. I'm like, well, it's not, because it's easier to win with a toxic player. You can mute toxicity. You can't mute Aragorn not killing anyone. You just can't win with bad players, but you can win with toxic. Simple has a major, fucking Aragorn doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like every argument against toxicity makes it harder to play. It's like, yeah, so does having MUTiRiS stood behind you with a Molotov. Like that's more tilting to me than being told I'm dog shit. Like, because if you're actually confident in who you are, it doesn't matter. Simple calls me shit. He's probably right, because he's one of the best players to ever play the game. Like, yeah, I am shit compared to you. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on like playing badly, but as someone who has had
bad teammates,
bad teammates, and at some point also was one bad teammate, like. Everything after you play with a bad teammate for some time, winning doesn't matter anymore, because you're just there for like, okay, I need to do this because I'm obligated to, but I don't even want to do this anymore. Like the climate on the team just turns to shit so quick, and I can see MUTiRiS and Aragorn being bad on server. Like that's pretty visible. But I can see these guys like wanting to keep playing. Like they know they're just there because of the points, and they need to be there just because BC.Game wanted to play tier 1 events. But I know that as soon as they can, they're going to leave that team because it's just unfeasible to play in that environment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying being toxic is ideal. It's definitely making them worse, but it is preferable. It's still
also
not ideal.
Simple knows that they are going to leave as soon as
of course,
it's like their contract ends. So why even bother? Like just play your games and try and do your best, and in like 20 games you're gonna have another teammate. So
thing is, he abused NPL and he got much better.
I think there's a very strong counter argument to that, which is the worry about Simple isn't that he's toxic, because when he's being toxic, he cares. Yeah. The issue is that Simple will check out. That's what you don't want. You don't want him to completely switch off and go into this mindset of like, well, these players aren't going to be here forever, so I don't really want to try and be the best I can, so I'll just kind of coast by. Maybe I'll play some Dota on the side. That's what you don't want from Simple. If you want him to be back to the top, to be like one of these top 5 players in the world, I think the top 1 dream is probably over, but if you want him to be like a genuine superstar again, you need him to keep this energy and use it as fuel to keep getting better, because the alternative is, he just goes back and plays Dota and doesn't care anymore, right? So I would rather have a toxic Simple that's fragging and cares than one that's disassociating and doesn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay, I can agree with that. Anyway, enough about BC.Game. I think we've spoken a lot about them.
Still shit.
So just
better than you
just
thought,
going
though.
over.
Yeah, that's not hard. I had a very, very low opinion. They are better than I thought, I will say.
I just want to say that MOUZ is
waste of time.
Just the same shit as they ever been. Like just eliminating people to get to semifinals and lose, and always been, always will be. And I hate them for that.
This roster season fucking sucked because like nobody at the top changed. So like it's like, I wonder who's gonna win. Is it Vitality or Furia? Like they're the only 2 good teams still because nobody changed. Like, wow me up.
It's really annoying. There's like this level of stagnation where all the top rosters are like stun locked into staying with their roster because like at least one domino needs to fall before all the others can start switching around. So like let's say there's a world in which Frozen went to Na'Vi, because we've all heard the rumors. We all knew it was on the table. Let's say that did happen. FaZe gets some money back from that. FaZe buy maybe Torji from MOUZ. Now MOUZ need to buy a new player. Like all of these shifts that we were all hearing about in the off-season were predicated on one of them actually happening. And if any of them did happen, all the others probably happen as well. And now instead we just end up with the same teams, and it's really boring.
Yeah.
One thing that I think might happen, the big like change might be at the end of this year, or even sooner, whenever Fallen retires. Because when Fallen retires, we don't know if Yeki will stay on FURIA. Right, because he's not like a native IGL, and there are rumors that he will maybe stay and he will maybe be the next IGL for FURIA, but that's not like confirmed or anything. And I don't know, like maybe molodoy will stay in FURIA, maybe he won't. It was like from my point of view, it's just gonna be a matter of who pays the most.
Yeah.
So, whenever Fallen retires, and it's rather sooner than later, I think there will be some big changes, and I think next stop for molodoy is probably going to be Spirit, just because of, I don't know if you guys saw the videos from like backstage, but he's very friendly with the Spirit boys, and like Spirit, in my opinion, is another team we need to touch on very briefly if you want to. But like donk is getting to a tipping point, and if something doesn't change, either he will just, I don't know, throw himself off a bridge or something, or just get another team, or something will happen.
Hear me out. Donk to BC.Game. They have
Jesus Christ.
they have money. Like, they can pay him what he wants. He gets to play with Simple. They'll be like, look, we'll get rid of this fucking Aragorn guy. I don't care. We'll bring in whoever you want. Just you join the project. You get to play with Simple. You have, we'll give you the Mbappe, LeBron power of just you get to pick your teammates. Just, here's a blank check. Come win us something.
A statement that I'm going to say twice to answer both of you. The first is about Molodoy joining Spirit. Why would Spirit downgrade? And about Donk joining BC.Game. Why would Donk
BC.Game downgrade?
Why would BC? No,
because this is predicated on in 6 months' time. BC.Game, as you mentioned, will try and upgrade, and they will have the money to. The pieces have to fall at some point. As you say, Fallen's going to retire. Carrigan's going to retire. Like, FaZe are going to have to completely rebuild. The next roster shuffle, it feels like there might just be like two shuffles worth of moves, because people are going to be doubly as sick of their teammates as they were. Like, it feels like
true, yeah, for sure. But like, let's say I grant that though, we get like it's about marginal utility, because why would Donk want to join BC.Game instead of Falcons? If you want to go to a team that has money and superstars, like,
because he's
Simple,
they already have
KSCERATO.
Like, he won't.
Maybe,
Yeah,
but
I don't think Falcons is a fit for Donk, because they're like,
it absolutely is. But I don't
it's
think
just
they'll do it.
too many stars for the sky.
Well, forget Falcons then. Why can't he replace like Flames on Vitality? There are so many other better options. He could join like any team in the top 10 right now that would be better than BC.Game.
But like, I feel like so many players would just, if Simple continues to play like this, especially as a like, I guess he's Russian, isn't he, versus Ukrainian, so maybe he's less keen on it. But I was like, I feel like for so many players of his sort of age, like, he would have grown up watching Simple when he was like 8. So like maybe it's just me being like, I would jump at the chance to play with Simple no matter who I was, like, no matter how good I was. And like, BC.Game have the money, they will go and buy like a crazy team. I think, like, I do think they will. If Simple keeps playing like this, they'll be like, look, we'll get rid of everyone else. We will spend and we will get you a crazy team so you can actually compete again. I don't know.
I'm fully with you that they will, but I don't think Donk.
Do you
is gonna
think
say yes
they
to that.
have the money for Donk, for example?
FaZe, no.
Like, no. Do you think that BC.Game has like just that amount of money? I am
rich.
talking from ignorance here.
There's like a few orgs who are like really rich. Obviously Falcons. I think aren't BC.Game and PARIVISION both like really minted?
Yes, but again, it's relative. So like here's something to, I won't give any exact figures so that I'm not saying too much, but the price of Donk is nearly double what BC.Game were turning down buying cores for during the off season. So one player instead of an entire core, like, the math isn't mathing here,
His contract,
his
contract is going to slowly, like, it's going to get closer to that expiry date, and they're not going to be able to renew it if they keep playing like this. I don't know. Maybe it's a year and a half, 2 years time, but I do think they're one of the few orgs who I think who can actually afford him.
Also, I don't know. Again, I'm talking from ignorance here, but I don't know how good Donk's English is still.
I think he has like Counter-Strike English.
About as good as Kyosuke's. I mean, they duoed Face It like forever, so they're on about the same level.
Yeah.
So he probably can get into an English-speaking team, no worries, but he still needs to get a lot better if he wants to like actually cement his career as an international one.
To be honest, I think if you could sign Donk, you teach the other 4 Russian. Like, if you could sign Donk, you don't fucking care. You can teach everyone else Russian. It doesn't matter. Like,
if you do build around Simple, Electronic, and Donk, then yeah, you've got that option for sure. Maybe you do get bloody Perfecto and then like just another bit or something.
That team actually would be rubbish. Like, bit would be great. Perfecto can't work. I guess he's playing with Electronic. I was gonna say I don't know if Simple would play with Russians again, but he's playing with Electronic, so I guess he's okay with that. Bit Simple Donk is like a god tier core. If you could make that happen, if they've got the money to make that happen eventually, that's a god tier core. The worry is by the time you sign Donk, is Simple just bad? Like, that's another like a year or so. Like, is Simple just checked out by that point? I don't know.
Right. So before we move on to other stuff, I do gotta like just go very briefly over Fallen and the whole FURIA moment. Because I don't know. Well, I know you guys saw the video because I just sent to you on Discord, but I don't know if the viewers saw the video of Sidde speaking to the team after they lost, and I think it's a very like important moment, important like team bonding and team building moment, because okay, Vitality did play a lot better in the finals, right? It's undeniable. Were just a better team on server. But on a good day, like imagine KSCERATO actually showed up. Imagine Yuri actually performed as he could. I don't know. Maybe in some universe there was a win for FURIA, and in that video, Sidde specifically says, I am not proud of how we did in the finals. I am proud of the tournament, but we could have done a lot better. And I just wanted your opinions on that before we move on to the next point.
So he talks about how Vitality are where they are for a reason, and he's obviously right. But I do think he's missing the obvious point that like Vitality are partially a better team because they have better players. I think. You know, we talked at length about Molodoy. He isn't as good as ZywOo. He might. I think there's more than a snowball's chance in hell that he will eventually. But right now, he's not better than ZywOo. I don't think KSCERATO is better than Rops, and he most certainly wasn't in the grand final. And then like the rest is like, you know, your Kindar versus Flames. Probably Flames is better. I'd take Mezzy over pretty much any other fourth man in the world, to be honest. And then it's like Apex versus Fallen. You can have your discussions there. All time, it's pretty close at the moment. I think Apex is probably a better caller. It's just, you know, it's not super. I don't think he's miles ahead, but it's you know, I think he's probably slightly better. And I think that the fact that FURIA were able to win events at the back end of last year was so surprising because they sort of came out of nowhere and nobody looked at the team when it was constructed and thought, oh yeah, this is a super team. Like this is a team of 5 individuals who should go and win tournaments. It's like, this is an interesting team. And if Molodoy hits and your Kindar comes back to you've got a pretty solid team. Nobody expected FURIA to be as good as they were, partially because the individuals aren't as good as Vitality's. But I do think they actually do play very well as a team. It's a very well-balanced team. So I guess if his point is when we play in sync, we can be better than a team. But I think when Vitality play in sync, it's really, really hard to beat them no matter who you are, no matter how you play. I think he's being a little harsh.
I think the word slop is all the rage on the internet right now, like slop this, slop that. But that Sidde video to me was just like coaching slop. Like it's just one of those things where you say, if we play our game and we play well as a team and we do things together, we will win. It's like, yeah, you have to say that, right? You're a coach. It's your job to say that. But does it really mean anything? Does it give you any like strategical insight into like what their win condition is? No, and also it's not trying to be, right? Like yeah, I looked at the way FURIA lost, and I didn't think they didn't play together well. I thought some individual stars were heavily missing.
But I don't necessarily agree with that, and that's not because I'm a FURIA fan. That's just because you know, Sidde could have said, "Look, okay, they won. We'll get in next time." Like, big bummer, right? But he didn't. He went more like in depth. He was like, "Yes, they won, but it was because you guys didn't play as you could," right? And I think there's much more value in accepting like responsibility and taking accountability for what happened than just being, oh, big bummer, we'll get him next time. Because they did, like in Chengdu, FURIA won 3-0 pretty convincingly in the finals, right? And they could have done it again if they played well. And I don't know, like I think that, of course, there are many factors to how well a team like performs and develops over time. But again, I am a big FURIA fan, but I am very glad to see how well they're playing and how well they can evolve over time. Because a big factor for me of teams' performance over a stretched period of time is how well they can get over their problems, right? And I think FURIA has a lot of that. And also, like, Yekindar is a very harsh person. If you ever see, and I follow a lot of Fallen's channel in YouTube. If you like Counter-Strike, you should watch Fallen's videos because it's very not only entertaining, but you can actually learn a lot. And Yekindar is super harsh about like what the team is doing wrong, right? And Fallen is also harsh, but in a different way. He like points out and like as a professor would, like, you are doing this wrong, do it this way instead. Well, Yekindar is like, get better, shit. And
there's that cultural difference you were talking about.
Oh yeah,
precisely, yes. And it's like they compensate for each other, right? Because the harsher Yekindar is, the more like compassionate Fallen is.
Like, actually
and I think
mom and dad. Like,
I think
Fallen's the mom.
You're absolutely right. And just to be clear, I use the word slop specifically because it's not trying to be high quality. It's one of those things that's done like for the camera, that's like a brief insight into the kinds of things that a coach does without giving too much away, right?
Yeah.
But what I meant is that I can guarantee that would have been said on the camera, that would have been put out publicly, behind closed doors. You know, whenever they're next in a practice room, they're walking KSCERATO through his demos and looking at some of the like micro decisions he made, and they don't really think in their heart of hearts that the reason they lost is because like the power of friendship wasn't there or something, right? It's just a coach has to instill that mindset, even if it's delusional.
Gotta believe in the heart of the cards.
Right. I think Krakow has given us a lot of topics to talk about, so let's stress test some of them in buy and sell. So let's go through buy or sell. You guys already know how this dynamic works, so let's go with the first statement. The first one is quite a given one. It's Vitality completes the Grand Slam in 2026.
All in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I even put this in because I mean,
you were hoping
it's a
they're going
discussion.
to.
They
are dodging some tournaments.
Well, I mean, it's a discussion, but it's like at this point, with all these teams just denying Atlanta, and with Rio coming up, like if they don't win Atlanta, they might win at Rio. So I just think it's almost impossible for them to not get the Grand Slam at this point. But
they're the best team.
I would love to see.
They're going to do it.
Yeah. I would love to see other team getting the Grand Slam, but I don't think it's the moment
There's
right
too much stagnation at the top. Like nobody is better than them, and nobody looks like there's no growth to happen. Like Vitality are the best, unless Foot like genuinely hit the leap. Because you know what I mean? Like they're a team who can actually shake up the top 10. They've got 3 players like on the cusp of what I would call the leap, and like if 2 of those hit, like all of a sudden they're like the 6th best team in the world or something. That's like, even then they're not going to beat like Vitality. Like there's too much stagnation. Vitality will win more events this year. Until the next roster shuffle, Vitality will probably win everything.
I don't know if I agree 100% with that, but I think they will win most events.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit might win one by accident.
FURIA will win 1 or 2. Yeah, it'll happen. But Vitality, they'll win most of them.
I think best shot for FURIA is, of course, Astana, because it's molodoy's home crowd. Yeah. And also Rio, because FURIA's home crowd. And you just get a boost. Like, whenever you play in front of your people, you just get a boost, like, in confidence and stuff. So also pressure, but anyway, let's go to the second statement. ZywOo is at this point undisputed the #1 player in the world.
sell because of the word undisputed, but at this exact moment in time, he's the best player in the world. But I don't think it's undisputed.
I'm gonna need to be a bit pedantic, because are you saying he's the best player like in history, or are you saying his current form is he's number one?
No, right now, at this precise moment.
Current form, highest, like, yeah, okay, best like all-rounded player. Yes, I think yes. Bye.
I don't like the word,
but not undisputed though. No, you're right. That word changes.
Like, there is definitely an argument for donk, but I do think I made this point elsewhere today, where like, because there's a Thorin tweet where he was like, "Oh, Simple was the best player in the world during the Astralis era. Donk was the best player in the world during Vitality's era," or something like that. And ZywOo is the best player in the world during his own team's era. And I do think there's something in that, where like ZywOo's been on some arse teams and he's like never carried them. But I also am not sure that donk or Simple could be as consistently stable on an elite team as ZywOo is, because of ZywOo's style. He is more reliable. I think he's less up and down than those two. So in that sense, they're very different skill sets. And I think you could definitely argue like ZywOo is more suited to being on an elite team, whereas Simple, donk are better at carrying worse teams.
I'm actually going to completely change my verdict on this, because I've just had a thought, and I'll lead you through it. If you were to take donk and Shiro and swap them for Flames and ZywOo right now, all the rest stays the same. Would Vitality win more with donk and Shiro and that core, or would Spirit win more?
Vitality would win more.
Vitality would win way more, wouldn't they? With donk and Shiro.
I don't know if they'd
win. Got to say,
yeah, they'd win more than Spirit. Yeah,
that's got to say something, right? Yeah. Because ZywOo with donk's teammates wouldn't move the dial, or maybe he would, but I think he'd do worse than Spirit are doing now. Whereas.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Vitality probably keep winning, right?
ZywOo couldn't do what donk is doing, but I don't know if donk would be as good at what ZywOo is doing. But I personally...
If by that you mean AWPing, then yeah, I'm with you.
No, I
mean... Do you mean like, anything else?
I mean like being super, super stable, never... Like, almost like playing every situation perfectly, being just an elite... Like, ZywOo doesn't need to be the best player in the server, and he's able to play that way, whereas I'm not sure donk can ever play like ZywOo does, and ZywOo is just going to be a bit more reliable on a team with other stars in. I think that.
The counter is that donk is somehow more statistically stable than ZywOo, despite being in less stable positions. Are those not points for donk? Like, I think I've got to say donk.
Yeah, they are. You are convincing me. It's really hard for me to argue for ZywOo, because I do just prefer donk, and I do kind of think donk's better, but like ZywOo dropped 90 in a grand final like a few days ago. Like, that's insane. Even I can't deny that, and I hate the French.
No, like, to be completely honest, like ZywOo's final was just like,
it was insane.
The final against FURIA, it was just so good. It was out of anyone's leagues.
Yeah.
It was just,
except maybe donk.
So good.
That's the donk probably could do that. So I don't know. I'm kind of arguing with myself.
Do you actually think that if donk just decided, okay, I'll drop the AK and I'll get the AWP, he would just be as good as ZywOo is?
Not immediately, but eventually, yeah.
I think he might be as good skill-wise. I think his team gets way worse. And this is the reason, right? I watched, I think it was an Elmer Puddy video that he did recently on like donk's grand final. And not on donk's, on ZywOo's grand final. And if you watch what ZywOo actually does, it's incredible how he can transition between going for some opening aggressive move, throwing like supportive util for a teammate, playing around his teammate, and then like popping off for a multi-kill afterwards. He's so dynamic compared to other players. It's incredible. And I don't think you'd ever see donk have ZywOo's level of like utility knowledge and ability to transition between being fully supportive and fully like a standalone star player. I think he'll always be missing that. So if you are someone that's like on the ZywOo angle, I think that's probably like your best argument.
That's kind of what I was getting at. ZywOo will be more stable on that team because he's able to to be a supportive player as well as. Whereas Donk has to,
But-
the way he plays, he has to be the best player in the server. But he is, so
Wait,
it's kind of
but-
fine.
I don't know if I agree with you guys on that one, because there's an argument to be made that Donk is just the best aimer to ever touch Counter-Strike.
Yeah, he is.
Right. And
He
if you
is.
put Donk in a supportive position, you're just wasting potential.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So why would you?
Oh no, you definitely
Like-
shouldn't do this. I mean, it's entirely like he probably could do it. He'd be the best supportive player in the world. You
I don't
just
think
shouldn't
so.
do it.
I don't think so. I don't think he would be that good in support roles, right? His mind just isn't like wired for that, you know?
I actually don't think it matters that much. I think he would actually just kill so many people in supportive role. He just wouldn't even like. He'd just be like last alive all the time, and that would be fine because he'd win so many clutches.
Statistically, he's not the best closer, not even on his team. So
I'm telling you, you could like. It would not be worth doing at all. It would be a complete waste of him. But whatever you made Donk do, he would probably be the best or the second best in the world at it. Except like, League of Legends.
I think the main difference between Donk and ZywOo is that Donk is like pretty, by some wide margin, #1 in some aspects, whereas ZywOo is consistently like third best in the world at like everything.
Yeah.
Second or third best at like all of the metrics.
yeah, you guys are right in this one. So let's keep going. Next statement is PARIVISION makes PGL Cluj playoffs.
Hell.
It pains me to say sell, but I think it probably is sell.
Dream is dead. The dream is dead.
I don't think it's dead. I don't think, because there's so much stagnation, even like around the top 5, like, and a lot of the teams that did make moves didn't even make good moves. Like, I could definitely be convinced they will be the like top 8.
When I see the dream is dead, what I mean is the period that they won that tournament was coming off the back of a player break, and they took everyone by surprise, and I don't think they'll replicate that. Like, yeah, okay, maybe they might squeak like A quarters at some point in the year. It's possible, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I would bet on them making a playoffs at a big event at some point this year. I wouldn't bet necessarily on each event. I would say that.
Are they going to Astana? Like maybe Astana or something, but it would be like one of those 1.5 kind of events.
I don't know. I believe in Jane. I always will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were just this one-hit wonder, but I don't think the ceiling is that much higher than they are at this point. So I don't know, to be honest. Talking about Astana, the last statement for the section is PGL Astana versus IEM Atlanta split is bad for CS as a whole.
Yeah.
We'll go over it in the next section, like
Sell.
in depth.
I'm selling. I
I don't think I have an
Why?
opinion on this.
I think it's nice that Vitality aren't at events so we can actually, somebody else gets to win something. I think having 2 tournament organizers who want to set up big events, like we have, the problem is we have too many big events, like that teams are having to pick between. It's kind of nice. It's better than that. It's better than like when it was like, oh, ESL Pro League takes up 2 months of the year twice. It's much better than that. I'd rather have PGL Astana and IEM Atlanta at the same time than fucking 5 weeks of ESL Pro League. That used to wind me up.
One good part is that PGL have actually finally won this in particular engagement. Like, historically, whenever you've had these, ESL's hosting something, PGL's hosting something, PGL have backed down every single time. It's nice that, the big teams are actually going to the PGL event this time. It's good for the scene. I think it's definitely healthy.
Okay, so let's go in depth into this specific situation.
Yeah, so for those who aren't fully aware, IEM Atlanta and PGL Astana are going on at almost the same time. There's loads of overlap. And 7 of the top 10 teams, not including Vitality, FaZe, and Na'Vi. So all of the other 7 are the top 10, are going to PGL Astana instead. And obviously one of the teams is FaZe, which is basically not a top 10 team. So make it that way you will. IEM Atlanta obviously significantly weakened, as we alluded to. Sam said PGL have won, but they didn't get the big dog. They didn't get Vitality, who are getting the freest Grand Slam of their life, because they are going to absolutely murder everyone at IEM Atlanta. There's basically no team who you would put who you would imagine can even come close to them here. Like, maybe there's like a Na'Vi renaissance, but they're just not. Na'Vi ever since Mikaze are just not. They're just not going to win anything. And so instead, Astana, with all the extra money and the fact that there's no Vitality and the fact that they don't have to go to the US and worry about visas, they have won out. And Astana is going to be the more interesting event.
Also, there's something else to point out, apart from money, apart from visa issues, apart from everything. Cologne starts 10 days after this event. So going to the US, then back to Europe, and then having the major 10 days after is a bit of, it's a shakeup for teams because of jet lag, because of a bunch of stuff. So I don't know, to be honest, to be completely honest, I am kind of glad FURIA specifically went for Astana, because it's the basically once in a lifetime opportunity for Molodoy to win in front of his home crowd. And I because of storylines and players development, I think it's always good to have this kind of opportunity, like Vitality winning the major in Paris and stuff like that. But again, for me, it's just, I don't want to say wasted money, because of course there will be more teams getting money from different events and stuff, but this is the biggest prize pool in a non-major event in history for Astana, right? And they're just splitting the best teams in the world between two events because they can, because they could not find another point in time to do this event. And I don't know, I understand why most of the teams don't want to go to the US because of geopolitical and social matters and a lot of other stuff too. But having that event happening at the same exact time, I think it's just not good for the viewers too, because if I watch 2 BO3s in a day, I don't think I can watch in detail another 2. Imagine semifinals in the evening and then semifinals in the morning again. It's just not I don't know.
But then you can skip the ones you find less interesting. There are some days in a tournament you're like, I only care about one of these games. The other 2, I'm like, I'm not interested. When you've got, instead of 3 games in a day, you've got 6. Okay, I can pick 2 good ones or 3 good ones. I'm still watching a full days of Counter-Strike, and I've watched 3 games of Counter-Strike in a day. I've achieved absolutely nothing because I've been stuck to my chair all day, but I've enjoyed it, and I've watched 3 good games instead of 2 mediocre games and 1 good game. To some extent, there's that is kind of nice, and because the time zones are going to be very different as well, right? Astana's obviously Eastern Europe, and then Atlanta is, I can't remember exactly where in the US Atlanta is.
In the center of the US, so
it's going to be a pretty 6 or 7 hours minimum, I think, difference. So Atlanta will be in the evening for Europeans, and Astana during the day. So there is a real chance you could watch 6 best of 3s in a day and just be a complete degenerate, which that's pretty fun.
I've got an angle that I don't think anyone's considered yet, or at least I haven't heard anyone bring up yet, which is what this suggests about Vitality. Because the fact that Vitality are choosing to go to Atlanta instead of Astana, to me, suggests they care more about the Grand Slam than winning another major. I don't know if you would agree with that, but like, let's say the major is a major motivating factor for staying in Europe for a lot of these teams, like some combination of extra prize pool and staying in Europe so that, you know, you're not jet lagged for the major. Vitality have chosen to go to a weaker event to win a Grand Slam for that money, for that prestige, for whatever, over the upside of staying in Europe, right? So I do wonder what that says for Vitality's position in the scene, that, you know, maybe they care more about another Grand Slam than a major.
On the flip side, do you remember when Movistar Riders came into, I think it was Cologne, and finished like 6th? And it was because they played like 2 events beforehand that were really easy, and they just like steamrolled them. And they just came in like off the back of like 8 wins in a row. I think Outsiders did it as well, right? They won a challenger just before they won the major. And I think there is something to be said about just like going and smashing some dog shit teams and just coming into an event like feeling on top of the world. I always do it on Football Manager. I set up my preseason friendlies against like non-league teams you never heard of, win them 8-0. Your players come back so happy. You always start the season well. Like that, I feel like they go to Atlanta, they win a Grand Slam almost certainly. They beat on like FaZe and who's even at Atlanta? Gamer Legion, Legacy, BC.Game, like these absolute like dross teams. And then they come into the major like, yeah, we're absolutely the best team in the world, and we go.
Wait, I just remember something. I just remember something. There is also CAC happening in Shanghai from May 19th, which is exactly 2 days after Astana.
Oh my god!
And that's also $1 million prize pool.
Yeah,
holy
I'd
fucking
be skipping
shit!
That I can tell you that much. There is also a very exciting thing about IEM Atlanta IEM Atlanta that we wanted to brush on, we haven't done yet. There's a real genuine chance Passion UA will be there with their new roster.
Correct.
They are in the final of the closed qualifier, Wildcard, who are, you know, pretty cool. I don't know actually if they qualify with the current rosters, they have to play with the current roster in Atlanta. I don't know, but obviously the rumor is, for anyone who doesn't know, that they're going to go full international and remove is it Nix?
The most international team ever.
Yeah, they're going to remove Nix and Hulzerk and bring in Tri from Argentina and Senzu from Mongolia, which would put them in 5 different continents, which is like, that's what, you know, that's kind of the headline. But also, I know Sam and I were just talking, like, the team's actually really quite good. Like that's kind of a well-constructed team that just happens to be from 5 different continents. Like, I'm not as high on JT as some other people are, but I know some people really rate JT as a caller. This is a team where he can actually do some damage with, and I think we'll actually see like how good he is. Tri came in very early to like top tier competition. I think he suffered a little bit. He made some poor decisions with rosters as well. I think playing with Cold Zero was a really bad idea, but he's a very talented player who I think has gone away and honed his game. And then like Senzu, everyone knows how good Senzu is. If you can like harness him, like, yeah, like that's just from Nix to Senzu might be the biggest upgrade from a single roster move ever.
May I just say something really quick? I think that this is Tri's last chance at an actual good tier 1 team.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't perform right now, he was just go into an existence very soon.
Yeah, agreed.
If this team actually closes and they go all into this event and don't absolutely like demolishes the whole event, like, I don't know how much time he has to perform.
Yeah, I have 2 things to say on this. The first is that I think they should sign Azza as their coach, so they've got an Australian, and then they should sign like a penguin as like some emotional support animal, and they've nailed it. You know, full international.
Passion UA mascot will be a penguin.
Exactly.
That's done.
Yeah, then they've done it. You know.
They could get MOUZ in as like Central America. I know it's quite technically part of North America, but
yeah, that's not a continent.
It's sort of a continent. It's a region.
Anyway, on a more serious note, the most interesting part about this for me is, like you said, it is good in theory. Like, these are all good pieces. I think JT's a pretty good caller. I think he's been underrated for quite a while. I think even their coach is like decent. Him and JT have been together for a while, since like the Cloud9 days or whatever, when they had like that NA team, and you know, they've always been like shooting above their weight. What's annoying, really annoying to me though, is that they've got 3 players that historically have all wanted like star rotator, space taker kind of roles, that they're gonna have to divvy up somehow. Like, they're gonna have to sort them somehow, because Grim, when he was playing for like Triumph or whatever before he joined Liquid, was one of these, like, he was in star roles, right? He was their star rifler. And he joined Liquid, played with a Liege, took a back foot, you know, went into these sort of anchor lurker roles instead. The same thing, he's kept those same roles now with Kvem. Kvem is now the star player, the star rifler for Passion UA. And now they're signing Senzu, so it's like, is Senzu going to get Kvem's roles and be like this central star rifler piece, in which case he has to be very vocal? Or are they going to say, you know, we're going to put you in roles where maybe communication isn't as big a deal, but you don't get to, you know, have your comfort roles, right? Like, they've got to make that decision one way or another. So you're going to have 3 players who are essentially off role, like, no matter what you do, which is a question for me. I'm not sure how you square that circle.
When Sensu transitions to AWPing to replace Try, it won't be so much of an issue.
I think I know that's a joke, but I'm like physically disgusted at that as a concept.
I know, yeah. Again, sometimes I say these things just to see you react. I mean, would you be that surprised if it happened? I wouldn't, but because you say like he might be off roles anyway. You know, fuck it, if I'm going to be off roles, I at least want the AWP. But yeah, I think they must have had this conversation with the players before they saw. Well, maybe they don't. They haven't. But you would hope a competent team would talk to their players before, like, look, we want to sign Senzu, and we like you, Kvem, but Senzu's better than you. He's gonna have your roles. You're gonna go play like Floppy. Is that all right? And he's like, yeah, fuck it, okay, fine. And he might not be happy about it, but it can't be a surprise to him. And I guess, whether or not he's good at it, however, he's a completely other matter. I do think that is potentially an issue, but as I say, like, piece for piece, this is an exciting team, and we'll see. Like, it's down to JT. He has some pieces. Now he's got to try and figure out how to complete the puzzle.
Yeah. In general, I agree with what you guys are saying. I like Try a lot as a player, so I hope if this deal gets like finished and they actually go to Passion UA, I hope he performs well, and I really like cheer for him, and I want him to do well. But I think he is like his last opportunity to do it. Yeah. If he doesn't do it right now, then not good. Not good stuff will happen.
I'd like it on the record that we are, as a podcast, fans of Try, and we want him to do well.
Yes,
seems like a really nice guy, and he's a pretty decent player, who I think has been a little bit mistreated by Counter-Strike.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of, I would say, good chances.
Yeah.
When he did, stuff happened. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. So let's go ahead to the next topic, because we are low on time. So let's do it. Right. So literally, I think the day after tomorrow, actually on Valentine's Day, don't these guys have anything to do?
The game is
yeah, I guess so. Cluj is starting another one in I think $1.25 million prize pool tournament again. A lot of money is being thrown around these days. I remember, like, back in the day, like maybe back in 2016, there was like a major worth $1 million, and then that was it. Now we have like 6 or 7 tournaments in 4 months worth $1 million each. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you could buy a very, very nice dinner for your girlfriend or wife or boyfriend or husband with a 1.25 million prize pool. So they'd probably let them off. Just do Valentine's Day a couple of weeks later. It's all right. You might have to sleep on the sofa for a week, but
yeah, I think bugbear of mine is when tournaments have like the major format without being the major, because like the major has like a really weird format that other tournaments probably shouldn't copy. But like, at least the fact that it belongs to the major means it like kind of justifies it, right? Like it's bad, but it's our bad. Is that kind of
love the
mindset?
Swiss system. I'm not having this.
I don't know. It just seems a little bit like leave it to the majors and just do good systems elsewhere. Like I would prefer it anyway.
They should let me redesign the major format. It would be so fun. Every single team. So it'd be like every team that would be in the I would have open qualifiers for a start, and then I would have like just a giant Swiss system between all four. Like I wouldn't separate Asia. I'd just have a giant Swiss system. It'd be great fun. It'd be so much like it would just be so dramatic. It would be brilliant. I would have random seeding as well.
Okay.
I miss the old format. The old format produced so much more fun than like the last few majors. The last few majors have been so stale for me because it's all so sterile. It's like, oh, we got vitality.
I disagree harder if I tried. I love the way the last couple of majors have turned out. Like,
it was so
good teams.
dull. Yeah, exactly. It was boring. You could predict every single game the whole way through. It was so boring.
I kind of agree with the boring statement. But random seeding is just, I will bang my head against the wall if there's random seeding.
Majors have gradually got worse, less interesting over time as we've streamlined the format. Bring back Bad News Eagles, bring back Vega Squadron, bring back Dream Eaters. Much more fun. Again, the problem is with these events, is like we've got the same format. We've seen 100 times before. We've got the same teams we've seen 100 times before. The top four is probably going to be the same top four because they're just the four best teams in the world minus Spirit, who are notably absent. And then you've got... I think there are a couple of interesting teams below them. I mentioned Foot earlier as a team that are interesting because they're actually on the brink of being a genuine like top 8 team, 10 team. Like they could, I don't think they're far away at all from being as good as like Na'Vi, G2. And I think they have young players who are improving. Their problem is going to be their AWPer, who he's going to be the guy who holds them back, but they're not. I just don't
get where this belief in Foot is coming from, because like yes, I've seen that like the demon guy looks really good. He looks like he's got a lot of potential, but so I just look at these players and it's like they're like statistically their top fragger is a guy called Jugs.
Jugs,
I don't know how you pronounce that.
I think it's Jugs.
They've got another player called like Tree. Like who is making these names? Like, please,
I think it's Cemetery without
Cemetery,
any vowels.
Okay.
Because he's so dark and edgy.
Lounks, who's like a Sprout player from back in the day that now we're meant to think is good all of a sudden. Like,
no, I mean I think this is
so temporary.
Lounks is like the how do I describe it? He's like the, you know how like Neck is on every Brazilian team is just like being experienced. That's who Lounks is on this. Like he's there because
he's currently on like a 1.15. Like that's not going to hold, you know.
Yeah, he was actually so good in their last event, whatever it was. Lounks, he had like these insane pop-off. I don't know where they came from. I used to like him on Sprout, but he clearly lost his way since.
And I've just got the complete opposite take. Like, I think 2 of these players maybe will be poached and go to better teams, and then the team dies. That's my prediction for the next, 4 months.
I mean, eventually they are going to get poached, but because nobody's making any moves, they're actually, one of the only teams who have potential to move upwards. Like, who else? Look at the 8 teams above them when you open this event. Like, who else is going to move upwards? None of them are. Astralis, maybe.
Heroic. I've got faith in Heroic, to be fair. I like Crizzen as Nigel.
I like Crizzen.
Obviously,
they're still not playing with their full roster.
Pain, we spoke about Pain last podcast episode. They've made 2 good moves, I think. They definitely can get better.
Yeah. BA, I think, are a bit of a lost cause.
They're falling off, yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got 3D Max, who are just going to be the same team ad infinitum.
Yeah, number 13 forever.
And they literally, and I think Foot are better than them. I think Heroic could probably be better than them in a month's time. Astralis, I think Astralis are genuinely one of the most interesting teams of this event, and I don't think I've said that in 8 years.
I think speaking about Astralis, do you have more faith in Heroic or Astralis if you had to pick one of the 2 right now?
Right now,
In 6 months'
Astralis.
time.
Astralis.
Right now, Astralis. Okay.
Yeah. So I would not have said that before. What was the event that just went? Kraków. I would not have said that before Kraków, but I watched them play in Kraków. I was on B stream a lot, so I watched them play, and like they are genuinely like they play a nice brand of Counter-Strike. They are well structured, and I think their 2 new players have landed so much better than I thought they would. Fozy especially. I like Fozy, but I've always thought of him as a floor raiser. I think he was actually a lot better than I thought he was going to be on this team. And I think Heroic, because they've had these issues landing with their full roster, I think Astralis are just going to be more stable. And I actually think Astralis might be 10th soon. They might be 9th soon. Like, again, I don't have any faith in FaZe, Na'Vi. I've got a little bit of faith in G2, but not really. Mongols, who knows, but probably bad. 3D Max are just going to stay where they are. Aurora, I think they've had their moment for the year. So, I guess my hope.
Who do you guys think is winning?
Oh, Vitality will win.
Vitality will win again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Like, they just will,
You know,
won't they?
I've had 2 tournament guesses right in a row, and I will keep them going. FURIA will win this tournament, and I will see you guys next week or in 2 weeks.
I hope so. I hope FURIA win. Well, no, I hope PARIVISION win.
I have a really weird feeling because it's a PGL. I reckon it's going to be a Falcons grand final. Like, there's just something about these like PGL events that Falcons are like time to actually play the game.
Well, it's a major format, so Nico can't win.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it's not actually a major. It's like an irrelevant trophy in that regard. So Nico can win.
Maybe.
Irrelevant trophy, $1.5 million.
Yeah, he's won a
Right.
Cologne and a Katowice, so he's it's just majors he struggles with.
But to him, only the majors are relevant.
Yeah. To me too. I don't care about this.
So
one.
so just to be clear and on record, Elliott, you think Vitality
What's
is winning?
happened to me? Like back in the day, I'd be saying, "Oh yeah, MOUZ. This is MOUZ's time." No, I'm just going to pick the favorite. It is Vitality's just going to win. Like, unfortunately.
Sam?
I'm going to go a step further and say Vitality win, and it's going to be against Falcons in the grand final.
Right. I'm saying it's going to be Falcons versus FURIA in the grand final, and FURIA is winning. On record, again. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that was these past few days / weeks. Vitality won Kraków. ZywOo was just demolishing everyone. FURIA, I guess, did a good job of evolving, but didn't have what it took to win in Kraków, which is a bummer in my opinion. But anyway, it happens, Tier 1 Counter-Strike. Cluj starts the day after tomorrow as of the recording of this. And so yeah, you guys have anything else to say?
Shout out my son who has managed to sleep for the entirety of this, so I didn't get distracted.
Good.
Yeah. And shout out my the power grids locally for not going off because it decided to do that twice this morning. But this whole podcast, we've been good.
Good, yeah, that's 2 very good theme appropriate things.
I'd like to keep
Anything about TS though?
What? I've never heard of it. I don't know. Foot to the moon.
A happy Valentine's Day for a few days' time.
Very cute.
All right. So, anyways, to the listener, please go to our socials. There will be a lot of content coming up these days. A lot of fun content, if I must say. We're cooking some nice things. Also, there will be, of course, all the Cluj coverage from these guys right here, and I'll be just looking from above. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Stay ready, stay informed. That's the win condition.